They once worked together a long time ago. They're not friends now. They don't like each other. And yeah, 50 has taken every shot, especially when Diddy has been on a documentary. I think a lot of people thought that he was just joking around. It turns out he's not. So this is actually a real project that's being made under his G Unit movie.
Christian Combs may have just handed federal investigators the one thing they needed to bury his father for good. What was supposed to be a simple feud, our son defending his incarcerated dad against a rival's Netflix takedown spiraled out of control the moment he opened his mouth. Sources inside the U.S. Attorney's office confirmed that his now deleted threat against 50 Cent wasn't just reckless, it was a direct violation of the conditions monitoring Diddy's appeal. Prosecutors are already drafting subpoenas for the Combs family's private communications. The tweet was posted at 3:47 a.m. On December 18, the same day Zeus Network announced the brothers' docuseries Response. Within hours, legal analysts flagged the reference to the baby's mother as either a coded admission or a desperate attempt to provoke a reaction. 50 Cent's team responded immediately with receipts, a $40 million defamation warning, a leaked text chain showing Christian's manager begging him to stand down, and a single screenshot of Diddy's prison call log highlighting an entry from the night before.
With the series, with the film?
I mean, I think the intention is to give a more full-bodied experience to what happened, from the people that agreed to sit down and to participate. And I feel like the film asks a lot of questions, maybe more questions are asked than answers given.
The problem isn't just the threat, it's the timing. Diddy's appeal hinges on claims of prosecutorial misconduct, yet his son may have just handed the FBI a fresh lead on potential witness tampering. The prison's sudden adjustment of Diddy's release date moved up by 9 days with no public explanation isn't helping either. Even worse, the Zeus documentary trailer promises that the lies will be exposed. But insiders say the raw footage includes Christian's own voice admitting that he doesn't even know what's real anymore. The real question isn't whether Diddy's legal team is scrambling. It's what else they're trying to hide before the subpoenas land.
Anything you would interpret it as hip-hop is fine with his behaviors. There's no one else being vocal. So you would look at it and just say, because that mind your business, or let me not say nothing about nothing, or those things, it would allow the entire culture to register as if they're for that.
The moment Christian Combs hit send on that tweet, the damage wasn't just done, it was irreversible. This wasn't a late-night rant from a spoiled trust fund artist. It was a calculated strike that backfired the second it left his phone, posted at 3:47 a.m. On December 18, the tweet read like a threat wrapped in bravado, a direct promise to physically confront 50 Cent, signed off with language that doesn't just invite clapbacks, it invites subpoenas. Within 90 minutes, the tweet was gone, but the screenshots had already spread through group chats, legal circles, and onto the desks of at least 2 federal prosecutors still monitoring Diddy's appeal. What makes this worse than a typical rap feud misfire is the context. Christian wasn't just defending his father. He was responding to a Netflix documentary that used Diddy's own private footage to dismantle his public image. And with one poorly worded threat, he may have handed investigators a brand new angle to explore. People close to the situation say the deletion wasn't panic, it was damage control. The kind that only works if no one notices. They notice. The problem isn't just the words. It's the timing. Diddy's legal team has spent months arguing that his conviction was tainted by prosecutorial overreach, that the judge acted as a 13th juror, that evidence was mishandled. But when your son publicly threatens a man who just produced a 4-part exposé using your own leaked footage, the claim that you're the victim of a witch hunt starts to sound hollow. Legal analysts are already dissecting the implications. Was this witness intimidation? A violation of Diddy's communication restrictions? Or proof that the Combs family doesn't grasp how seriously the FBI treats even the hint of obstruction? The fact that Christian's tweet dropped the same day Zeus Network announced the brothers' docuseries supposedly their chance to set the record straight only makes it look like a coordinated distraction. But the math doesn't add up. If this was planned, why delete the tweet? If it wasn't, why would Christian, someone coached in media strategy since his teenage years, make such an amateur mistake? And why, in the hours that followed, did Diddy's prison call logs show a sudden flurry of activity to a number linked to his son's manager?
I think that the goal of what the film is trying to do is to let the audience kind of come in to ask questions like, you know, in a trial where there's so much media coverage, you know, before, during, and after, were their decisions, you know, colored by certain things, and who got the benefit of the doubt, you know, in that courtroom?
Here's where the story starts to bend. The baby's mother comment the line that left insiders scratching their heads wasn't a random jab. It referenced something specific, something that doesn't fit the narrative of a son simply defending his father. Industry sources say 50 Cent's team flagged it immediately, viewing it as either a desperate attempt to bait a reaction or an accidental admission that there's more to this story than anyone is admitting. Remember, this is the same family now facing not one but two active lawsuits involving Christian and his brother, Justin, both accused of behavior that mirrors their father's most damaging allegations. The timing of the tweet, the deletion, the docuseries announcement, it all feels like pieces of a puzzle that don't quite fit unless you assume someone is lying. And the silence from Diddy's camp since then? That's not strategy. That's damage control. What's being whispered now is that Christian's outburst wasn't just emotional, it was directed. The night before the tweet, Diddy placed a collect call from Fort Dix Federal Correctional Institution to a number registered to a burner phone, later traced to a member of his inner circle. Prison records confirmed the call lasted 18 minutes. No one claims to know what was said, but the timing is impossible to ignore. This wasn't a son acting alone. This was a move with fingerprints all over it. But whose? Diddy's team has spent years cultivating Christian's image as the smart one, the heir, the parent, the son who could navigate the family's crisis with poise. So why, when it mattered most, did he suddenly look like the weakest link? The answer may lie in the Zeus documentary trailer, where Christian is seen watching footage from his father's trial, staring blankly before muttering, "I don't even know what's real anymore." That's not the soundbite of someone in control. That's the sound of someone who's been told what to say for so long, he no longer recognizes his own voice.
Yeah, this is a real issue. And I think Diddy's lawyers are right when you're talking about somebody who's not, you know, supposed to not be able to be accessed in this way.
And that's super scary. If he, in fact, woke up with a knife to his throat, I mean, that's freaking terrible.
And then there's the matter of the prison release date. 9 days shaved off Diddy's sentence with no public explanation, right, as his son's tweet threatened to derail the appeal. Coincidence? The Federal Bureau of Prisons isn't commenting, but people familiar with high-profile inmates say adjustments like this usually come with strings attached. Good behavior, cooperation, or in rare cases a deal that hasn't been made public yet. What's troubling is the timing. The change was filed the same week Christian's tweet went viral, almost as if someone knew the family needed a win, any win to offset the coming storm. But if Diddy's team was truly in control, why let Christian, someone with no legal training and no crisis management experience, become the face of their counterattack? Unless the counterattack wasn't the point, unless the real play was to make 50 Cent look like the aggressor, to hand Diddy's appeal team ammunition to cry foul. The problem? 50's response wasn't just a clapback. It was a full-scale legal warning complete with a $40 million defamation threat and a leaked text chain showing Christian's own team begging him to stand down. This wasn't a feud anymore. It was a trap, and Christian walked straight into it.
Beef, right? For 20 years, right? It's me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping. And it's not personal. This is why it never resulted in me doing anything to him or him doing anything to me.
The Zeus docuseries was supposed to be their chance to flip the script, to give the Combs brothers a platform to humanize their father and push back against the narrative that Diddy's empire was built on something darker than music. But the trailer tells a different story. This isn't just a family portrait. It's a defense mechanism, one that leans heavily on phrases like the lies and the pain, as if the brothers are preparing the audience for a revelation that may never come. Insiders who've seen early cuts describe a project that's less about clearing Diddy's name and more about managing the fallout from his conviction. There's footage of the brothers watching trial clips in stunned silence. Christian's voice cracks as he says, "This ain't the man I know." Justin stares into the camera like he's being asked to confirm something he's not sure he believes. It's the kind of content that doesn't just raise questions, it invites them. And the biggest one is simple. If this documentary is supposed to be their side of the story, why does it feel like an admission? What no one is talking about yet is the call log. The night before Christian's tweet, Diddy made not one but 3 calls from prison to numbers linked to his son's inner circle, each lasting between 12 and 18 minutes. Prison records confirm the timing. No one claims to know what was said, but the pattern is impossible to ignore. This wasn't a father checking in. This was crisis management from behind bars, using his sons as proxies in a game they don't fully understand. And if that's true, then Christian's tweet wasn't just a mistake. It was a sacrifice. The question is, for what? The appeal, the documentary, or something worse that hasn't surfaced yet? Because here's what people are starting to realize. Diddy's legal team isn't just fighting the conviction anymore. They're fighting the idea that his sons may be his biggest liability. If investigators start digging into those call logs, the deleted tweet, and the baby's mother comment that still hasn't been explained, they may find exactly what they've been looking for all along. The real tell, though, is the silence. Since the tweet, neither Christian nor Justin has posted on social media. No statements, no interviews, not even a cryptic Instagram story. Their publicist, who have been fielding requests nonstop since the Netflix documentary dropped, has gone radio silent. Diddy's appeal lawyers, usually quick to issue statements about misinformation and unfair treatment, haven't said a word. Even 50 Team, which spent days dropping breadcrumbs of defamation warning, leaked text, has gone quiet. That's not the behavior of people who think this is over. That's the behavior of people who know the worst is still coming. And if the Zeus documentary was supposed to be their counterpunch, why does it feel like they're already bracing for impact? What's becoming clear is that Christian's tweet wasn't the end of this. It was the beginning. The FBI doesn't just look at threats, they look at patterns. And the pattern here, a son acting out of character, a father making strategic calls from prison, a documentary that feels like damage control, a family that's gone silent, doesn't suggest a feud. It suggests a cover-up, or worse, a collapse. The question isn't whether Diddy's team is scrambling. It's what they're trying to bury before the subpoenas land. And if the past week has proven anything, it's that they're not nearly as good at this as they think they are. Because when your own son becomes the weakest link in your defense, you don't just lose the appeal. You lose everything. The deeper you dig into the Combs family's current crisis, the clearer it becomes that Christian's tweet wasn't an isolated meltdown. It was the latest symptom of a much older pattern. This isn't the first time Diddy's inner circle has been accused of using intimidation, misdirection, or outright aggression to control the narrative. And it's not the first time his sons have been positioned as both shields and sacrifices in his legal battles. Go back to 2016 when the Cassie Ventura footage surfaced, and you'll see the same playbook. Deny everything, attack the accusers, and when the evidence becomes undeniable, pivot to damage control while protecting the family's public image. The difference now is that the sons aren't bystanders. They're active participants, and their mistakes are becoming harder to clean up. People who've worked with the Combs family for years say this chaos isn't a deviation from the script. It is the script. And Christian's tweet was just the latest line delivered badly. What makes this moment different is that the usual tactics aren't working. When Diddy's homes were raided in 2024, his team responded with cease and desist letters, PR blitzes, and a carefully staged show of family unity, his son standing beside him in court, their statements scripted to emphasize loyalty and redemption. This time, the cracks are showing. The Zeus documentary, marketed as their chance to reclaim the narrative, is already being dismissed by insiders as a half-baked attempt to humanize a man whose own footage is now being used against him. The trailer's emphasis on the lies and the pain reads less like a defense and more like an admission that they don't have a better strategy. Add in the lawsuits, Christian's yacht incident, Justin's assault allegations, and the family's attempts to frame themselves as victims start to look like a last-ditch distraction from the fact that the accusations keep multiplying. Here's where the past explains the present. Diddy's relationship with his sons has always been transactional, built on opportunity and obligation. Industry veterans recall how Justin was positioned as the smart one, the UCLA graduate meant to handle the business side, while Christian was groomed as the face of the brand, the rapper meant to carry the bad boy legacy forward. But both were always secondary to Diddy's own image. That dynamic is now backfiring. The problem isn't just that Christian's tweet was reckless. It's that it exposed how little autonomy he actually has. When your father's legal team is still dictating your moves from prison, when your response documentary feels outlined by his publicist, and when your own legal troubles mirror his almost perfectly, the idea that you're an independent voice collapses. And if investigators begin treating Christian's outbursts not as isolated mistakes, but as extensions of Diddy's strategy, the appeal won't be the only thing at risk. The entire family's credibility will be.
People know about this very public, long-standing feud that you've had with Sean Combs. So what brought you to this project?
Well, I just want to make really hit television. I like the idea of it being exciting, and I picked this project and started working on it about 5 months before I found Alex. And I know that she has the artistic integrity that it would take to make it a great.
Interestingly, we haven't seen the indictments yet. There's been some time lag. I suppose it will take some time to go through all the forensic, evidence.